Alrighty, in our last session we covered attempts and solicitation, and in this video recording we're going to talk about conspiracy, accomplice, and accessory. So a conspiracy basically is an agreement between two or more people to commit a crime or to achieve a lawful objective in an unlawful manner. So let's look at an example. Alan and Bob plan to rob a bank. In carrying out the plan, they obtain the bank's blueprints and plot the best way to enter and exit the bank. They have conspired, meaning they have planned together to rob that bank. So let's look at the elements. And remember, the elements are those facts that have to be present or proven. So the first one is you have to have an agreement between two or more people with a specific intent, meaning all parties must have the same intent. 3, achieving an unlawful objective or achieving a lawful purpose in an unlawful manner. It requires proof that the defendants intended to commit a crime. And then lastly, the commission of an overt act in furtherance of the conspiracy. So some courts require an overt act, which is another word for a substantial step, while others argue that the agreement itself is a necessary act, so that would be enough for conviction. So remember, for a conspiracy, it has to be multiple people, has to be at least 2 or more people. A single person can't engage in a conspiracy because they don't have anyone to conspire with. So then let's look at the liability for crimes of co-conspirators. Each conspirator is liable for the crimes of others. So whatever defendant A is being charged with, defendant B will also be charged with. And now we're going to move into accomplices. And an accomplice is a person who aids or assists in the commission of a crime, or they fail to prevent it if they have a duty to do so. So some of the special issues with accomplices is if they withdraw, so if they withdraw is before the commission of the crime, that accomplice may escape liability, but the accomplice may also be required in some jurisdictions to prevent the crime. They have a duty to try to prevent whatever it was that they agreed to. And then you've got an accessory. So an accessory is a person who, after the crime is completed, helps the defendant in avoiding arrest or to hide the crime or warns the defendant. Now, in Farmville, North Carolina, a few years ago on Easter Sunday, 4 gentlemen were killed inside of the a convenience mart there, and the defendants went and hid out in one of, I think it was the girlfriend or the mom's house, and she told police she didn't know where they were. She was later tried and convicted of being an accessory after the fact, meaning she didn't have any knowledge of the crime prior to the crime, but once she learned about it, she did not try to go to law enforcement. Instead, she hid those people and delayed police officers from finding them. Some of the special problems with accessory is failure to report. Knowledge of a crime alone isn't enough to make a person an accessory, but it's when you take that extra step into helping them hide or not get caught or cover up their crime is when you become an accessory. So it's really important for students and the general public to understand that even if you didn't have anything to do with the crime when it was occurring and you didn't know about it, if you aid that offender in any way, once they have completed that crime, then you will be guilty. We've had this multiple times with cases of robberies where someone will go rob a convenience store or a bank, and then some family member will hide them out thinking that they're not really doing anything wrong when in fact they are, and the penalties are just as stiff as if they had have gone and done the act themselves. So that wraps up conspiracy, accomplice, and accessories.